Hi, this is David at Mash IT, and to follow on from last week's Alienware G15 Ryzen Edition review, we have actually got in one of the lower end Intel models today. Now this is the G15 5510 model with Intel 10th generation Core i5 10200H. This is a quad core with hyperthreading. This laptop's also got the new RTX 3050 Ti, 8GB of DDR4 and a 30mm 512GB M.2 SSD. Now I'm not going to spend too long discussing the laptop chassis as it is exactly the same as the previous G15 Ryzen edition except for the colour. Please look for the link in the description below if you want to see that review to get more information on this chassis. Now being the base model, I expected it to come with a lower wattage PSU than that model, but no, this still comes with a large 240 watt PSU, which seems a bit overkill considering how much lower powered the internals are in this device. And also this model comes with a smaller 56 watt hour battery, which still gives us a good 6 hours and 45 minutes of battery life streaming YouTube video at 50% brightness over Wi-Fi. So with this model coming in at £850 in the UK, what are we getting? Well, we've got the Intel 10200H quad core that I mentioned. This is a very average for 2021, but all cores do run full load at 4 GHz, which should satisfy most people. Being a quad core with hyper-threading, it'll be fine for most games, but you may see some frame drops in games that are particularly CPU intensive, such as Battlefield 5. But considering this only has a 3050 Ti, I don't think that's going to be much of a problem. So let's take a look at this new RTX 3050 Ti. Now being the base model, this system did ship with an 8GB in a single DIMM slot. So once running a few benchmarks, the first thing I did is upgrade it to 16GB in dual channel to see what a difference it makes. And wow, what a performance increase that you're going to get over the single 8GB DIMM. If you get this laptop, this should be your first priority. Make sure you're running in dual channel mode. The good news is, this is a 90 watt TGP, which did surprise me. I did think Dell would cheap out by keeping the actual TGP at 50 to 60 watts, but as you can see from these benchmarks, it does gain pretty well. As per the G15 Ryzen edition, we also have the 120Hz 1080p panel, which will be fine for the level of the performance in this system. Okay, so we're going to play a bit of Warzone in performance mode. So before I do anything else, the fans ramp up in performance mode. So let me just quickly show you the fan noise. So it's about 52 decibels in performance mode, like solidly, which I think is pretty much the maximum. But obviously it brings the temperatures right down. So settings wise, we're going to play at 1080p, 120 Hz, and now obviously we've got 4 GB of RAM. So it's put us at low, but I'm going to try and increase some of these settings. Let's take us over the Warzone, let's give it a go. We're just going to put it on normal textures. Turn some of these down. Right, let's give that a go. Although the performance mode fans are at about 52 decibels, the fans don't whine, so it's quite a pleasant whoosh, so I don't mind playing at this higher noise level. Once you've got headphones in anyway, you're not even going to hear it. It's certainly not as bad as like a razor blade. But if you put it in balanced mode, which we'll show you in a little while, the fans will drop down, so it's a much more quiet, about 47 decibels, but obviously then the temps will creep up. So it's your choice of either lower temperatures and higher noise, or higher temperatures and lower noise. The good news is I've been gaming for quite a while as well now, and the keyboard is absolutely cool. It's not even heated up at all. Get the actual temperature gauge out on that in a minute. Right, so as you can see, we're flying in now. The good news is, obviously the TGP is between usually about 70 and 80 watts, which is quite nice. And the CPU is like sitting solidly at 4000 megahertz or 4 gigahertz. So even though it's only a quad core, so far it's a pretty comfortable playing experience. So if you are planning on saving a bit of money, you can still play well on something like this. And the best news is, I mean, this keyboard isn't even warm yet. Now this 120Hz screen, as I say, it's not the best screen, but it's not too bad as long as you're not in a bright room. The good news is the panel is responsive. So let's just check the temperatures. But we're talking 38, 39 degrees at the top. Keyboard area, you're talking 35 degrees. And over on the right hand side, it's a hot spot about 37 degrees, but very pleasant. So as you can see, the frames per second have been pretty solid throughout so far. This is at medium settings. But considering this is only a 3050 Ti, this is really quite impressive, and only a quad core. Now I'm going to drop it down out of performance mode now, and we'll see how the temperatures react and the fan noise. we're 47 decibels in balance mode. But as you can see, the temperatures now, we're up into the 80s. Still 4 gigahertz on the CPU and still over 1900 megahertz on the GPU. But obviously it's just going to run hotter. So now let's just play a few other games and see how it handles. Now I'm going to leave timestamps down section below, and I'm going to leave these games running after this conclusion so that you can go to any of the games that you wish to see and get the frames per second and the temperatures for the relevant games that you're interested in. But I wanted to say, at £850 you are getting decent performance, and the CPU, although only a quad core, sits nicely at 4 GHz across all cores, and the GPU is a nice boost over the 1650 Ti it is replacing. The fact that Dell gives this a great TGP further enhances the performance. The redesigned chassis is great, and you have a pretty good port selection, although I do not understand why Dell has bundled in a huge 240 watt PSU. The screen is pretty good for the price, offering a 120Hz 1080p IPS panel, and although it's a little dim at 280 nits, it's certainly fluid for gaming with no noticeable ghosting. So if you're in the market for a mid-range gaming laptop, this is a really solid choice. But as always with Dell, never pay full retail price, and there is always a discount code floating around. So let me know what you think about this model. Drop them in the comments down below. Do you think this is a decent buy from Dell? Can you suggest any better alternatives for the price? I'd like to hear what you have to say on this matter. And also, if you've got any other suggestions for laptops you'd like to see us review, please drop that down in the comment section down below. And lastly, thank you for watching.
Sort them out or capture the objective. Gave them a proper sort. Stand by for redeployment. Right then. I will guide us to victory below. Marking our surroundings.
30 seconds left.
Strong work. Took out a hostile. Frag grenade set. Thermite grenade.
They spotted me. I'm taking shots.
I down the hostile.
Need to recharge. Can't let you die.
Okay.
Beginning.
Your time is not over yet.
Healing. Contact. Race not far. Taking shots.
I am taking fire.
Bro, everyone. No, the guy just killed me. Buddha, can you come to me, sneaky peeky?
Scanning here.
Denied. Denied.
Indeed. Time for a good scrap.
Your bottom tower is under attack.
Gift from the goddess.
I'll sort this out. These faces need mashing. Yes! First blood. Bit of work to do.
Those who tangle with the Sky Wrath risk a fall from starry heights.
By all means.
Burst. So sweet.
Tonight. A clubbing!
Top is missing.
One step at a time. Yeah, here's some goo for ya. You don't say. That pinned your eyes open, didn't it?
Let's go, people. Bomb carrier inside. Bomb is down. Zagtijdig. They're down. Counter-terrorists win. 3 to go. He's got the bomb. Counter-terrorists win. Status? Clear. Makes 3 left. Bomb is on the ground. Gathering the bomb. Great hit. Reporting. Left. All clear. Bomb carrier spotted. Did you hear that? I'm staying with the bomb. 2 bad guys left. Fire in the hole. Only one.